So, hi everyone, my name is Eitan. I'm a product manager in the Defender for Storage team. And as Jason mentioned, together with Fernanda, we are going to discuss today Defender for Storage, which is the cloud workload protection plan for Azure storage in the Defender for Cloud CNAPP solution. We're going to cover the security challenges in cloud storage, what makes Defender for Storage unique, the key capabilities we have today, and what's new. And we'll have a quick demo and the Q&A session. So let's dive in. If we take a look at unstructured data, such as videos, images, audio, documents, and web server logs, we can see that it already accounts for 80% of the data that organizations already process. And it is becoming the backbone of how businesses operate. And the reliance on it is increasing each year. And this introduces security challenges, such as malicious content that can be uploaded from untrusted sources and then distributed across the environment of the organization, and even the environment of other third-party organizations and applications. And sensitive data exfiltration, which can be incredibly hard to detect on time, because knowing where the sensitive data is stored and that someone with malicious intents actually stole it is difficult. And there's data corruption in the form of encryption and deletion of the data or the resources. We can see here an example of the Black Cat ransom note that targets Azure storage accounts. And this is something that we obviously want to avoid. These challenges are addressed by cloud storage security solutions that protect your unstructured data from unauthorized access, breaches, and malicious attacks, as well as ensuring compliance with regulations and policies. But deciding on a security solution and buying it is hard. You have so many vendors doing so many things with different features and capabilities that all look critical. And there are many trends focusing on posture, malware detection technology, AI, but there's less focus on the boring stuff, which you know is important and is sometimes an enabler, such as the easy deployments of solutions, cost control, and solutions that do not generate new overhead on already busy security professionals. This is especially true when today most organizations optimize for budget, want solutions that scale with the data and organizational expansions, and solutions that actually do the job of securing the workloads and the data. All this while there's a noticeable skill gap in the market with a lack of professionals who understand both cloud architecture and security. If we look at traditional cloud storage security solutions, they only provide limited visibility and protection for your data, because to really monitor the activity, you need to analyze the logs, and enabling these logs and exporting them is expensive, especially on large-scale environments. And if we look under the hood, traditional solutions are not actually doing activity monitoring. They either do not have this capability at all and stick to posture management, or they have a very limited scope of what they monitor by looking only at the activity logs, which don't include operations on the data at all. In some cases, you're required to enable the logs and pay for them and pay for their export even before you get any value. The bottom line is that there are no shortcuts here. No matter what type of new and shiny tech is promised to you, you can't detect what you can't see. And if you look at traditional malware prevention solutions, it is very challenging to protect the organization from malicious content, because cloud storage is not a compute environment and you can't run an endpoint and response solution on it. So to protect the environment, we have solutions that require you to set up compute resources that may break your workflows to scan the data and deploy custom templates, and in some cases have a large footprint and require privileged permissions and simply do not scale. There are also solutions that require you to send the data to a third-party intermediary, which impedes existing workflows and requires a cumbersome setup in some cases. And you can also send the data or the metadata to an external public API, which we all know is a bad idea. The problem with these solutions is they do not scale. They require your team to have a high domain expertise because of the complexity. They are difficult to set up and maintain, and in some cases, even the security provider can't troubleshoot in time. They're considerably limited by throughput and upload size, and they hinder your existing workflows, and in some cases introduce latency issues. So why Defender for Storage stands out in this space? The way that we see things when building a cloud storage security solution, we keep the following principles in mind. The first one is that you don't have proper security without monitoring the data plane. An in-depth analysis of the data plane logs is essential and non-negotiable. The solution must integrate into existing workflows with minimum friction and without disruptions. The configuration and scaling has to be straightforward and easy. The cost has to be predictable so that you can manage the security budget and pay for the service that you use and not for the cost of operating it. And that it should be easy to prioritize real security incidents by differentiating the signal from the noise. There are three core capabilities in Defender for Storage: data plane activity monitoring, sensitive data discovery, and an agentless malware scanning capability. Let's start with what is special in the activity monitoring side. Defender for Storage monitors all the logs of all the operations on blob storage, file shares, and data lakes without the need to enable the logs, which allows you to save cost. It monitors operations on the data, such as downloading files, deleting, and uploading them. These operations can be authenticated and look legitimate. There are also anonymous operations when there are misconfigurations, allowing threat actors to enumerate and download exposed data. We have spent years in fine-tuning the detection algorithms, finding the right balance between false positives and false negatives so that you can prioritize easily and fast, and we are always improving it. Defender for Storage breaks down all the operations on the storage accounts, look at suspicious and anomalous activities, and cross-reference it with threat intelligence, and then sends the right security alerts. These are not just straightforward rules. We have behavior models that build baselines and can indicate when things are wrong. If you look under the hood of the activity monitoring of Defender for Storage, you'll see an incredible big data analytics platform that ingests huge amounts of data and uses the latest data analysis tools to do it as fast and as accurate as possible, while providing clear context on the security incidents. Now let's look at sensitive data discovery. One of the key pillars we released 6 months ago is the capability to detect sensitive data with an agentless solution that is incredibly easy to enable across all the environment with no friction. This capability is integrated with the activity monitoring and allows us to have tailored detections on resources with sensitive data, what we call sensitive data threat detection, and we'll elaborate on it. And we have the crown jewel, malware scanning, which is now generally available since the beginning of this month. This is a unique agentless solution that at the heart of it has Microsoft Defender antivirus technology to detect malicious content. Malware scanning provides near real-time detection, an effortless setup, simple enablement at scale. It is built to be secure and compliant, and it supports networking best practices such as virtual networking and VNets, and private endpoints. Defender for Storage helps you identify the early signs of breach that come from the inside. Maybe it's someone who is working in the organization, from third-party partners who have high permissions to your environment and have been compromised, or from external sources that can attack your storage accounts directly, or from already compromised workloads in the environment. And we catch all these threats in all the steps of the kill chain. That's why Defender for Storage has such a comprehensive detection suite, which is integrated with malware scanning and sensitive data discovery. The detection looks at the operations on the data and the data itself. There are 5 detection families: identifying malicious content that is uploaded and then distributed, the sensitive data exposure and exfiltration events, and here we have a wide coverage of 10 security alerts that cover different types of activities, suspicious access patterns, suspicious behaviors, and compromised access tokens. Defender for Storage helps you answer these 2 primary questions. Would you know sensitive data were stolen from your cloud environment? And can files make their way into the organization without being scanned for malware? To answer the first question, we need to understand its challenges. The first one is detecting threat actors that are indirectly or directly accessing the storage accounts and are very sneaky and access the environment using keys and not identities. If we look at cloud storage services, we have the control plane, which is responsible for managing resources. It handles operations such as creating, updating, and deleting storage accounts. These operations require authorization with an identity. And this is why it is so easy for security providers to cover this, because these logs are free and you always have someone to point at because you have an identity, but they do not cover the data. And there's the data plane, which allows you to interact with the data. In some cases, even if you locked the storage account on the control plane, you can still interact with the data. In the data plane, you can be anonymous, have an authorization with an identity, or use keys and access tokens. The reality is that the use of keys is incredibly popular, and entities that compromise the keys and abuse them are very hard to detect. And it's difficult to understand how they did it because they don't have identities while they access to the data. That's why we built a new capability to identify compromised, misconfigured, and unusual access tokens that allow access to the storage accounts and allow the entities without identities to operate on the data while evading detection. You see, you may have at any given time an incredible high number of valid access tokens that allow overly permissive access to the storage account without you knowing it, because generating access tokens is a client-side operation that is not logged anywhere and you can't monitor it. This new capability allows you to detect these abuse incidents and respond on time for such security threats. The second challenge is understanding where the sensitive data is stored, so you can really prioritize the security incidents that matter more than others. And that's where the sensitive data threat detection capability comes in. It relies on the sensitive data discovery engine built in Defender for Cloud, which is also used in the Defender CSPM plan. So it is the same sensitive discovery engine that is used by Defender for Storage and the Defender CSPM plans to identify which storage accounts and specific blob containers store sensitive data. This agentless capability allows detecting resources, storing sensitive data in a way that is fast and in a way that allows a smooth and easy enablement. Sensitive data threat detection is integrated into the activity monitoring, so we can send dedicated security alerts, which we usually don't send because we want to avoid false positives whenever we can. But in the cases of suspicious activities or misconfigurations on storage accounts with sensitive data, we need a high confidence while having a high sensitivity when analyzing the different operations on the storage accounts, so that Defender for Storage can send alerts on the resources that matter the most. This capability is an add-on, but is included in the cost. And we really suggest you to turn it on if you didn't already, so you can get the most out of the plan. The whole point of sensitive data threat detection is to allow you to prioritize sensitive data exfiltration and exposure events easily and fast. Defender for Storage detects changes in the access level that expose sensitive data to the internet, specifically to blob hunting attacks. And it also detects suspicious authenticated activities on blob containers that have sensitive data stored in them. In the alerts, we provide context on the sensitive information in the resource and on what happened. We have recently released a new security alert that is tailored for blob hunting attacks. In this new security alert, we are leveraging the supporting evidence feature to provide more structured and more detailed sensitivity context. This indicates that the storage accounts has sensitive data inside, the blob container is exposed to the internet, and that the threat actor have successfully exposed it and are ready to download its content. One more thing we're releasing soon is the capability to query in the Cloud Security Explorer for storage accounts and blob containers that contain sensitive data, meaning that the sensitive data discovery engine detected sensitive data in them. This capability was limited only to the Defender CSPM plan and will soon be available to customers who enable Defender for storage even without Defender CSPM. Let's move to answering the second question, whether files can make their way into the organization without being scanned for malware. The primary challenge is preventing the impact on users and applications downstream caused by malware, which is hiding in untrusted content. All this without breaking existing business processes. And this is why we built the malware scanning solution. It is built with all the principles we discussed earlier, with a huge focus on performance and the security and the privacy of your data. Our team has spent a lot of time building a solution that has all the good stuff while being incredibly secure by adhering to the most meticulous best practices possible. The permission model is at the subscription level, and all the operations are done with system-assigned managed identities to ensure maximum security and transparency, and so that it is easy to audit them. Malware scanning is agentless, it is easy to use, does not require installation, and is easily scalable. There is a single API call for all the configuration on the entire resource or the subscription. You have full control over the protection level at the subscription and storage accounts levels. And you can also set up cost controls by the amount of data being scanned. And this is new. Out of the box, it supports virtual networks and private endpoints, so you can keep operating in the most secure way possible without any changes to your infrastructure. Malware scanning is not intrusive. It does not impede uploads to the storage accounts, and it does not store the data that is scanned. In fact, the data is never stored on the resources that scan the files for malware. It is streamed directly to the memory of the resources and then deleted. Not only the data is deleted, the whole resource that performed the scanning is deleted. Malware scanning was built with customers who helped us tailor it for a long time for use cases for both enterprises and small medium businesses. It can be integrated into different use cases with minimum or no changes at all to already existing infrastructures and workflows. When malware is detected on an uploaded blob, a Defender for Cloud Security alert is sent with all the details on the malware and the file. All the scanning results are written on the blob index tag. And you can also configure event grid custom topics to automate responses to scanning results. And you can configure log analytics workspace to save all the logs of all the scanning results for compliance purposes. With malware scanning, you can block access to malicious and unscanned files using the attribute-based access control authorization, which allows you to set conditional access when accessing with Enter ID, which is AAD, and user delegation access tokens if you want to use access tokens. Using this configuration can ensure that unscanned files do not propagate downstream. You can also set up automated responses with storage accounts that operate as a DMZ, so that malicious files are deleted or quarantined and then deleted, and then the clean data is moving forward. Setting up responses is possible using Azure Functions. It's a robust and a fast serverless platform which can be set up to listen to the scanning results and move the files according to the scanning results when the scanning is completed. You can also set up webhooks based on the scanning results and logic apps that are triggered when a security alert on an uploaded malware is triggered. The enablement is super easy. And besides Azure Portal, you can configure malware scanning and Defender for Storage in general with the built-in Azure policy, with infra code templates like Bicep and Terraform, which we recently added. And you can always do it with direct REST API requests. You have full control over the enablement level. And when you enable it at the subscription level, you can exclude individual storage accounts from protection or set up specific configuration for individual storage accounts. In the next days, we're also going to release a new alert that will be sent to you when the scanning cap is approaching and when it was reached. That way you can modify the scanning cap on time and keep the storage account secure. And Fernanda is going to show all of these configurations in a minute in the demo. One more thing about malware scanning before we proceed to the demo. We talked about storage accounts being a malware distribution point because they have the potential to distribute malware to other systems or users downstream. And one of the main challenges is having an indication when a malicious blob is downloaded into or from the organizational environment. This is why we built a new capability that will be released in the next few days. And it is another great example of how activity monitoring provides additional value when integrated with other capabilities. We are releasing a new security alert that is going to tell you when malware was downloaded from the storage account. It is going to include all the relevant details on the file and the actor which downloaded it, which can be more than one in any given moment. With this new alert, you will be able to respond fast and contain the malware blast radius effectively. So now I'm handing it over to Fernanda.
Perfect, thank you so much. So let's start here with a demonstration. We're going to show you how malware scanning works, how you can enable it, how you can configure exclusions, how you can see logs, and all the related things about malware scanning. Also, we're going to show how you can enable Microsoft Defender for Storage via policy. So I'm going to go here into my environment. I'm right now in the Microsoft Azure portal, and I'm going to show you exactly how the malware scanning works. So I'm going to go into one of my storage accounts. And I'm going to see here that I have a tab that is called Microsoft Defender for Cloud. As soon as I click here, I'm going to see that I have Microsoft Defender for Storage enabled. I can see here that I have the activity monitoring, I have sensitive data threat detection, and I have on-upload malware scanning. I have all of these check marks. If I want to go and see exactly how this works, I can go into the containers. I can create a container, let's say upload. Now that I created it, I can go ahead here, I can click on it, and I can upload a file. In my environment, I already excluded a file just for testing purposes so that my antivirus doesn't kick in. And so I'm going to upload an eCard test file. I'm going to click here, the button upload. And then from this, I'm going to drag it here. I'm going to upload. I can see that it was successfully uploaded. And then if I want to see where can I see the results, like was this a malicious file, was this a clean file, I can click on the file. And then I'm going to have this section where I can see in the block index tags that there is a malware scanning scan result, that its value, it's malicious. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can all see it. I also have here at what time this file was scanned. And yeah, so I have this information right here. Then I can also go into Microsoft Defender for Cloud and see if I got a security alert, right? So I'm going to go into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I'm going to click into security alerts. And I'm going to see here that just right now in the Pacific time zone, which was 8:27 1 minute ago, I can see that a malicious file was uploaded into my storage account. I can see the full details about it, such as what is the severity, when was it detected. I can see the alert description, which is the affected resource, and where does it live, right? What is the subscription that is hosting this storage account? I can have more alert details about what type of malware was detected. We mentioned that it was an ECAR test file, and I can see it from here, right? I can have more related entities under this alert that can help me really understand what's going on into this storage account. I can even see what is the container where this was uploaded. So here, the container is the one that we just created that was called upload. I can see it here. And yeah, so all of this information right now, we just saw that we can see it through the blob index tag. So that is specifically in the same file, but I can also see the security alerts within Defender for Cloud. Now, let's do another test, and let's do something that it's uploading a file into a container, and then having the Azure attribute-based access control that as soon as it identifies that I uploaded a malicious file, I won't have access to read that file. So I'm gonna go into this other storage account where I have this ABAC. I just need to double check if I have Defender for Storage enabled, and if I have unupload malware, I can see that I have all here. I can go into the containers. And then from here, I'm just gonna upload a file. Let's just say here, I'm gonna do the same process. I'm gonna open here. I'm gonna drag it. And then I just uploaded it. If I refresh this, the file is still here. And if I click on it, I'm gonna see that I don't have my authentication does not allow me to see this content. So this is a 403 error code that you're gonna see if someone put the Azure attribute-based access control into this storage account for your specific account. Now, let's do another test, and let's see, for example, we have some users that most of the times they upload files, and some of those times these files have this malicious content, right? And what they want to do is that as soon as Defender for Storage reads that there's a malicious file, they want to move that file into a different container to quarantine it. And so we're gonna do that. We have a function app that is in our documentation, and you can use that. And we also have this step-by-step on how to do it in a GitHub lab that we can also share. So I'm gonna go now into another storage account where we have that function app. This function app is based on event grid events, so it's super fast. So as soon as these event grid events read that there's a malicious file, it's going to act. So I can go ahead here into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I can see that everything is configured. I can even go here into the settings, and I'm going to see that I have the event grid events. So yeah, I'm gonna go into the containers, and then I'm gonna see here that I have this quarantine folder that is called malware. And then I'm gonna have here another container, uploaded files. I'm gonna just upload here a file. So now I have it here. I'm gonna refresh the screen and I'm gonna see that the file is no longer here. I can zoom in a little bit. The eager file test is not here anymore. So that means that the function app kicked in, it moved it. I can go into the malware container and I can see here right now the time this file was posted on this other container, right? So this is something very simple to implement. Like I said, you can follow the step-by-step that we have in our GitHub lab. And this is how the malware scanning works. Now, let's talk about how you can enable it at the subscription level and how you can enable it at the resource level. So let's go into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I'm going to go into environment settings. And then from here in environment settings, I'm going to expand it all. And then I'm going to go into specific subscription that I know that doesn't have the latest Defender for Storage plan. I can see here my plan is not enabled, so it's disabled. If I want to enable this plan, I just click on. I have to configure the settings. And I have here two components, right? The ones that Eitan was talking about, this malware scanning component and also the sensitive data discovery. The malware scanning component has a price. It's 15 cents per gig scan. So that's something to consider. You can also set up a cap of how many gigs can be scanned during a month for each of your storage accounts in this subscription. I can go ahead here, edit the configuration, and for example, reduce it from the default 5,000 to, let's say, 200. I can apply it. I'm going to see it here reflected. I can also see here the sensitive data discovery. This doesn't have another price. This is included in the Defender for Storage plan. Once I have all of this, I just click continue and I just save this all. So that is enablement at the subscription level. And then there are some users that they just want to enable this at the resource level, right? So let's go ahead into this specific storage account. I'm going to go into Microsoft Defender for Cloud. I already have this enabled here. But for example, if I wanted to override the settings that the subscription has, let's say that in the subscription, I have another plan, or I want to enable this, I can override the settings and I can, for example, exclude this storage account from being scanned. Like I can just toggle this one and disable it from being scanned. I can also override the settings as the cap, right? In the subscription level, we defined that it was like 200 gigs allowed for all of the storage accounts. And here I can say, hey, I want to set up only 100 gig scan. I can also override the settings and do it all of this for the resource level. So this is an easy way to enable Defender for Storage at the resource level or excluding it from a specific resource that you want. Now, from here, I'm gonna jump into how you can enable all of this at scale. So I'm gonna go into policy. We have many methods to enable this, but I'm just gonna show here the policy one. I'm gonna, I can type here, configure Microsoft Defender for Storage, which is already here. It's not appearing. Oh, because I didn't write it correctly. I'm going to see these two policies, the classic one, and then this new plan that Eitan has been sharing. So I can go ahead here, click on the first one. And from here, I can see the entire policy definition. I can see also all of the parameters that I can change. So I can enable malware scanning at scale. I can also enable sensitive data threat detection at scale. And then from there, just assign it into a scope. So from here, I can choose, if this loads, I can choose the subscription where I want to enable so that I can do it even better. So this is kind of like how it works with the policy. I have here within the documentation, we can enable this with a Terraform template. This Terraform template allows you to enable it on a subscription level, but also on a resource level. We also have the REST API that also allows you to enable on a subscription level and also on a resource level. And then the one that we also just shown about enabling on the Azure portal at the subscription level and also on the storage account level. Something that I missed is how can a customer see the logs about the malware scan results. I have set up in one of these storage accounts, I believe. Let me just double check. In one of these ones, I set where I want these scans to go. It's not this one, it's the other one. I'm going into the settings here. And I put here that all of the scan results are sent to the log analytics workspace that I have here that I selected. So I'm just gonna go ahead and click on that log analytics. I'm gonna go into the log section. And then from here, I'm gonna search for malicious. And I'm going to see that I already have a predefined query that allows me to gather all of the logs that have been for malicious blobs per storage account. So I can go ahead here, click run. I can modify, for example, the time range to be, for example, let's say from August 1st until now. I can also say, just bring me all of these scan results. I don't just want to see the malicious files, but I want to see it all. So I can comment these 2 lines and I can just run this query and get all of the scan results that have happened within my storage account that is connected to this log analytics workspace. I can see all of details, tenant ID, time generated, etc. So these are like the ways that you can analyze logs that you have. We went through how to enable this at the resource level, at the subscription level, and also using at scale. And with that, I want to continue with the presentation and just wanted to make sure we're on the same page on what is the Defender for Storage Classic plan and what is this new Defender for Storage plan that we have been mentioning here in this presentation. So Defender for Storage Classic is based on per transaction pricing. That is like the old school one, the one that we used to do a lot of cost estimations to help customers really predict cost about how much their storage accounts would cost if they were protected. That has activity monitoring included, but it doesn't have all of these new capabilities as malware scanning, sensitive data, threat detection, and the detection of entities without identities. Some users migrated from that plan to a more predictable plan. That is just the same plan, but it's a standard rate, which is about $10 per storage account per month, but it only has those activity monitoring threat capabilities. Now, with the new plan, we preserve that cost. So that is $10 per storage account per month. This can be reduced. So if your storage account is only enabled for only 2 days, for sure it's not going to cost you $10. It's per hour, but this is an estimation of how much it would be for a full month if it's enabled. And then we have all of these capabilities, right? We have the activity monitoring, granular protection controls that you can enable at the subscription or resource level. You can exclude them. You can override settings. We have the sensitive data threat detection, the malware scanning add-on, which is on a different price, which is the 15 cents per gig scan per storage account. And then all of the future updates that we're coming with, for example, like this new security alert that we're also going to introduce, and any other threat capabilities that we're working on. So if you are a customer that is in the Defender for Storage Classic plan and you're already paying $10 per storage account, we really recommend you migrate as soon as possible to these new plans so that you can get all of these nice capabilities within Defender for Storage. Now, we included here a link to our documentation. In that documentation, you're going to see both classic plan and this new plan, how to enable them, how their capabilities work. And now I want to go into a section here and I want to do a quick survey of just 2 questions using Microsoft Forms. So if you have your phone right there handy, please make sure just to pull it out. Or if not, we also posted a while back, but I can post it again, the links for this survey. Let me just go ahead very quickly. And whoopsie, it's not showing here. 1 second. Some technical difficulties. I'm trying to reload it. Okay. And I think some of you have already gone to this survey. This question, you can scan the QR code, or you can go into one of the links that I posted a while back. So what do you think we should focus on our roadmap? And I believe a few of you have already responded this, and you're commenting that you would like us to go into the built-in response for malware scanning, which is very understandable. And then also unified malware dashboard from all Defender for Cloud plans. Now, let me try to reload the other question so that we can see it from here. Oh, it's changing now. Perfect. Thank you so much for participating here. Okay, so now also Azure file support. That's good. That's good. Keep them coming. I'm gonna move into the other question. So the other question is, why would you migrate or not to the new Defender for Storage plan? You can also scan the QR code that is right here. It is anonymous, so we are not logging any of your information. So if you can go ahead and respond to that. I'm not seeing any responses yet. Okay. We'll migrate because it's easier to estimate and predict cost because of its new capabilities. Perfect. Will not migrate because it's more expensive in my environment. Perfect. Thank you so much for answering all of these 2 questions. And now I'm gonna go into our Q&A questions. Jason, do you know if anyone has any questions?
Yeah, the team's been great with answering all the questions in the chat, but we do have a few worth reiterating. So the first is there any limitations with Defender for Storage when storage account is set up public network access in disabled mode? Will activity monitoring, sensitive data threat detection, and malware scanning still work when storage account is set up for public network access in disabled mode?
Yes. The short answer is yes. First of all, activity monitoring. In the activity monitoring, we are actually processing the logs and we're consuming them from a different channel, let's call it that way. And this for sure is going to work. Regarding the networking, if you disable the networking and you have a private endpoint, we are going to work out of the box, including the sensitive data discovery.
Great, thank you. The next question we have is, when is the old plan removed?
So at the beginning, we mentioned that we will provide a date, at least a year prior to the deprecation of the old plan. So right now, we still don't have a date. So you can still use it, but we highly encourage you to move to the new plan because of its predictability and the new capabilities, that we're going to add in the future. But right now, there is no deprecation date.
Great, thank you. The next question is, how do we estimate costs for Defender for Storage? How do we estimate malware scanning costs?
Okay, so estimating the cost for the activity monitoring, and I include the sensitive data threat detection in it because it's included in the cost. You can use the workbook in the Azure portal, and we know that it has its limitations when you're doing it at scale with a lot of subscriptions. You can also use a PowerShell script. We improved it so it can run in parallel and do the estimation. And this will provide you the cost of activity monitoring and the sensitive data threat detection. And again, it's an estimation. And the estimation includes the overage cost if you have a very high number of transactions on specific storage accounts. Regarding malware scanning, it's a bit more tricky, but it is possible. You can go to the metrics and look at the monitoring of the ingestion to the storage accounts. So you can actually look at how much data is actually being uploaded to the storage account. And this is like the upper limit because there are limitations to malware scanning. For example, we don't scan files that are larger than 2 gigabytes, but you will not be able to filter this when you're looking at the metrics. But the metrics will provide you some kind of a feeling in terms of how much data is actually going and is uploaded to the storage account. We are working on a solution that will really help you understand and estimate it easily and at scale. And we're also going to add an indication that will allow you to query how much gigabyte was already scanned and processed by malware scanning, so that you'll really be able to monitor the cost. So if, for an example, you set up a 5 terabyte cap for the malware scanning, you'll be able to see that you used like 3 terabytes even before you got an alert, and when you get to the 75% or something like that. So we're improving the capability to really understand the estimated cost and the actual cost. And you can also use the cost analysis tools that you have in Azure to track the cost that you have until that point in that month.
Great, thank you. The next question is, will you advise one to integrate Azure storage account with Sentinel for further analysis, or is just enabling the Defender for Storage plan sufficient?
So it really depends on the level of security that you are looking. If you really want to do investigation and a more advanced hunting of the threats, you will probably need logs. And yeah, you should probably enable Sentinel or some other solution to query this information. Basically, we already do it. We're working very hard to provide you all the context on what happened, provide you the evidence of why we triggered the security alert, and give you all the different metadata that will help you understand who and what did it. But if you want to go the next level, you will have to go that route. That being said, we are working on something that is going to really improve the investigation capability. It's going to take a little bit of time to build it, but it's in process. But we'll be able to share it with under NDA customers. So we're going to improve it, and the short answer is you don't have to do it, only if you want to go the next level.
Great, thank you. And then we just got a question that came in. Is there a limitation on the types of blob, like a pen blob, that are supported by malware scanning?
Yeah, we support block blobs. We don't support append blobs, and but there's another type of blob that we don't support. But yeah, we support only block blobs. In the documentation, we have the different limitations that we have. We support all file types. There's a limitation to the file size, and there is a limitation for the throughput. Still, when you're looking at other solutions that we have in the market, I think we are providing a very good and a very competitive solution at a very good cost. But again, it has limitations, and we only released it to general availability at the beginning of this month. So we are really going to expand and increase the upper bounds of these limitations gradually.
Great, thank you. That seems to be all the questions we've got. So with that, I'd like to thank you, Fernanda and Eitan, for being our guests and for sharing the great. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, Jason, I just wanted to add one small point that came up in the questions regarding the scanning capability of malware scanning. Malware scanning provides a comprehensive scanning, so it's not just hash reputation analysis. This is something that we had in the past. Malware scanning is a real scanning capability that detects polymorphic and metamorphic malware, and it really uses the same scanning technology that we have in Microsoft Defender antivirus. So what you have in the endpoints, it's the same scanning and the same results that you're going to receive with malware scanning. So it's way better, it's way deeper, and we encourage you to test it out. Yeah, sorry, Jason.
No worries, thank you. So with that, I'd like to thank Fernanda and Eitan for being our guests and for sharing the great information with our community. Also, thank you to the Q&A team who helped us with answering the questions and providing the resourceful information. To all the listeners still on the line, if you're someone who wishes to aid in the protection of the world from cyber threats and desire to have a say in shaping our strategies, blueprints, and recommendations, then we invite you to become part of our security community. Together, we can make a global impact. So join us at aka.ms/securitycommunity. This is also where you'll be notified about the upcoming webinars, events, and other announcements. Also, please take a minute submitting your webinar feedback at aka.ms/security-webinar-feedback. For those of you who may have additional questions on the topic we just covered or other product-related questions, please feel free to raise them on our Microsoft Tech Community discussion space at aka.ms/mdccommunity. Thank you all for being part of our community and for joining us on these webinars. We hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.